let's put it like this. If you're trying to buy stock, you're not trying to buy $20 worth of product or $256 product. You got to be able to think more applicationably for the 3 months that you are here to shop. That's the whole point of having a car, so you can have all that weight in there, and you can be able to take it to your leisure destination, and be able to transfer it over to 8 to 9 miles over to your next destination without any pain or any suffering. And, that's the point of the transportation in the local state that you're in. And that's basically where you're working on 647 states, and it's basically working on the old countries that you've been in since 1856 to 2002. And that's basically where you're working with more of federalism and nationalism of commercialism. So that's where you time Mr. Catfish up 37,556 with Catfish Industries 3376. And that's basically where you're getting the extra incentive of an extra trim, with it being more of a premium trim, and being able to be known as a premier trim. That's pretty much what that design does for Mr. Catfish and More. So it's more applicable towards its strategies and methods of being a more constant rate distributor. Instead of it being more about the money and being able to cash in $28,000 in cash. Cash is being deferred at the time, so that's a whole lot of 37,774 being cashed out during sales and balance. So you see that, and it's basically part of the company's brand, and that's part of what makes the company, with 378 dimes of accepted benefits. And it's basically where you're working on that every month, and being able to pay PFG along with me and Catfish Industries more often, which is particularly could be Eco Herb or Ergo Herb, or those people as well. And it's basically where you're working on more diversified profiles that lead up to districts or maybe even departments at one time of day. So you're starting a new compound of Austin from my point of position, and it's basically working on F451 propositions and Fox 7. So they know that in the 87 legislature at the state capitol, 2015 to 2022. And that's basically where we've been going since 2018, and being notified to be one of the best globalists in the nation. And that's basically where you're working with council members like Kim Jong Un, Prince Ali, you're working with all types of different characteristics of Marvel, Spider-Man, Pokemon. You're going all the way into the thermal effect of 38,000 and 340 and 380. That might be going into Nicholas, or that might be going into Michael's advisory, 37,000 miles away from Texas. And that's basically working on the other state, and that's basically working with another state to this abbreviance. And it's basically where you're getting more of your globalism and nationalism versus capitalism and commercialism. And it's basically where you're working with the more 3D version of game worlds and website development, so you can know more about the programs that you're being influenced to play with and adapt to, so you can already be sensed out to what you're expected to know or what you're expected to be acknowledged of. Starting 1937 to 2036, and it's basically where you're working on bigger formats of the legislature that you're in, and being able to know what science of space you're coming from. So it's just a look of biology, aerospace, and astronomy. So it knows a lot. That's GMC badging. So you got GMC Denali and GMC Denali HD, which is a 2022 version of Denali, and then you got a 2023 version of Denali HD, which is an awesome picture as well. You got about like 37,000 of those trucks out there, and they flown the country, and it's basically where it starts out in America, and then they expand and go further out, and that's the good part about having a good package or a good set. They roam by 3774, so this just starts his own traditional set after 1937 to 2038, and it's basically where it's going from Smithville to about Dallas, in Dallas or Waco. So you start in 1938 to 2058, and this is basically a bigger strand of 4080 dimes as we're getting down the road and understanding more of 1948 and 1952, 1948 to 2052, which is more of a federal state, better than it being more of a national state. That's basically where you're working on, UIL, and that's basically what I was usually competing against 2 months ago. As I found out, UConn wasn't a Denali, and that's basically what we was going over for 38 minutes, and we had that encounteration in the meeting, in Enterprise. Enterprise could hear a little bit of my thoughts and my speeches, and that's basically where we were gaining more acknowledgement of how we want to be able to treat the city with a good compromise of good faith and health, through Christmas, Thanksgiving, and Easter these years. And this is basically what we're be forgiven to acknowledge by, and understand that we have multiple different years of understanding, whether it's you taking a day of understanding or a semester of understanding. We understand you completely. Nobody's here to knock off your acknowledgement. You got more than 37 to 58 minutes to get the right answer or get the right proof you need for 48 years, 2048 to 2134. So, that's the right privilege to have, concerning it. That's part of Bill of Rights law in 1988 to 2052. And, it's basically where you want to start the 87 legislature law going on. So that's 331. That's up 331 points to 28 points, and that's basically where you're starting to beat the opposite more than average as well. So at another school, if that's what they were repping at the time of 1987 to 2027, then they're going to know something of that approximate balance, so they're going to want to win as well. So those are just facts of Rabbi code, and that's about where I come from as far as Greek mythology knows. And my corporation, as far as Catfish Industries and EcoLeaf and Google Infomark and EcoHerb and ErgoHerb of Comcast Grid, you putting all those synonyms in together, you're basically making it a statement. So, when you want to make it a statement, you're looking at composites or compositions. You want to be able to add nouns to those compositions so you can be able to add your navigation plant together. They already been figurated. So what if these actual plants can actually configure the English that you're determining? And it's all sponsored by Restaurant Depot, particularly at the hour of 87, 26 dimes. And, that's just working on the modern day 2022 Denali of what the 22 Denali can offer you with my validation of character and content. And, it's basically where you want to be able to have that in the next authorized driver of content. So, we're not just talking about a regular old 2009 GMC Z71 driver. We're talking about an Astonish Sierra Z71 driver. This is the Astonish as it get. We just here to transport and promote. Show a good favor of sign. It's not the richest sign you're gonna be able to have in, at the time. It's about worth 38,000. You want something that's worth 400 and 1,400,000. So you working on something that's more of an SUV. It could be more of a Grand Cherokee, or it could be a Lamborghini. Who's the weight? You just more for your collector advisor series. You being more of a advisor of your sport and being able to navigate, different Red Cross Red Cross trends to the people. And this is where you're working on more chronicles of information that goes on in your city, local nearby zonal points or the midpoints that's in the area. And it's basically where you're using more facts and more information and bonus. And if you're thinking about more Proposition 647-37, you're talking about Elizabeth Ney. So this is basically 360, 2222. You're going out there in that range, and it goes out there every 37, 47 months. So, that's basically keeping a good eye on world wars. So, and it does that by being able to send routes out there and send currents as though it was already its own electricity system. And that's basically where it works with its own companionship on Austin Energy and it's in Sam Houston State University. And it's basically where it works as a whole compound to restore the energy in the local country that it's adapted in. And that advances the series of the contents that could be available. And it reduces the way of taxes and a lot of that good stuff. So we got a lot of good stuff for you to reduce your stress and reduce your anxiety. And it's basically where you want to be able to cope with it. You got that in Doc's office, or it could be that's at Reagan. So it's basically Reagan said, or you can go to your all city one. You can go to the Walmart in North Cross and just sit there for 36 hours, 37 hours to 42 hours to 52 hours, and just sit there and hang out. And it's basically where you're working on a termination of 388 hours max, where you're just standing there and being able to develop more of analysis for that type of position. And it's basically being part of an aquatic director. Is just me just sitting there and being able to adapt to the environment of aquatics, and get my district of excitement out for myself. And it's basically getting along with 378 different pools, and being able to increase my economy by 431 dimes. And it's basically come along with just being interactive and being more influential towards using higher vocabulary, so people understand the discipline and the urbanization that's been intrigued in the in the in the in the yeah, the diction that's been increased in the production And it's basically where you're working on a whole lot of digital services, blue, green, and yellow. So that's getting spent up. That's about 39,990 in total, and it's basically where you're using the whole 30 years of 1980 to 2020, and being able to look at a 314 dime expansion of being in Mr. Catfish and More, and being on Mueller, or being in Austin particular just for itself at 37,458 and especially where you're working on more of a positive interest for itself to make it more affiliated with the ergonomics of the future, and being able to mix it in between a car wash, a restaurant, a warehouse, a tax office, a pool, a pool service, a banking firm. And that's the thing today. What you're doing is you're just playing with the accounts of the system, and you're adding 327 papers to them on the side of EcoLeaf and EcoHerb, and being able to add that extra flavor is like Tyson's new ingredients, and it's basically what everybody loves. That's not just regular chicken, or not just nothing that you're eating. You're eating a piece of Tyson's product, so it's known to be profitable. It's known to be profitable. So that's basically what you're looking for after you purchase something extreme like that. You just got to know how to spend your limited amount of Tyson every month, and understand more about orange, green, and purple ways of spending $38,844 a year when you only spend $328 a year. That's just how it's always been since 1814 to 1880, and it's basically where it just got started as far as understanding more of the central market in the grocery stores. So you're just working on 1880, and life got started in 1860, and it's basically where you're working on more conference with the grocery store. So that's basically where you're working on that $844.64, and being able to understand more calculus. You got to do your own work is something you have to do more to that equation to make that greater. So that's just getting a hint of EcoLeaf, EcoHerb, and Comcast Grid as I acknowledge you of the objectives that you can start with. And you can start from anywhere and end up at any point. So it's more, instead of it being third or fourth grade, you're in the 7th to 10th grade. So you should be able to make that type of impression on the point of having a clear statement. And that's basically where you're working on more of $399.95 of reduced tax, and that's basically where you're working on producing more towards green, yellow, and blue companies, which is more of 317%. So, other than that, we just using the black market economy on 12:40 a.m. versus 6:30 p.m. and, being able to use the difference between 83,635 hours and 86 hours, and you're seeing how tired we could be at the hour. And, it's basically working on astronomy right now. So we're somewhere in aerospace, and, I'm at my job at the airport, and working on the charger inputs, and being able to know more about 1927 to 2016, and being able to understand the life of a plane. And that's basically where we've been going on as we've been using process of elimination, and getting more of a good feel for the economic feel. And that's just basically, if you're hungry, we eat. And that's basically where the concept of process of elimination, and you use that 87,746 dimes at a time, and you put up much dimes as you can in that thing where you can. And that's basically what serves your 87,747 detail for Eco Leaf, and Eco Herb, and Google Infomark, and Comcast Grid. And that's basically where it does a good self-evident breaching at that. And that's basically where you put in your midpoints and sub points. And that's basically where you make it more than 87,000 dimes, and you've been able to use more of 344 different sections, 44 different sections. So this stuff already has a Congress somewhere in this state somewhere. And the best thing about it is, the thing started in 1937 to 2056, and it's basically where you starting to get the point that that's about $38,000 invested in the increased talent of the original competitor, which is Mr. Catfish Moore, which has been there since 1937 to 2018. So it's basically where it's here till present, and you're understanding more of that adaptability. And it's basically where you're getting the old look of 38,880. So they're just going more than 6 foot every time, and being able to look at more than 68 points 655 times. And it's just sharing different characterization on different statistics of different performances of 87,746 dimes. And it's basically where you're making a profitable consumption of a perfect amount of Kool-Aid at the time. And it's basically where you want to be able to enjoy and understand more about the common dimension that I carry as a person. And understanding Sam Houston's tribute, and understanding more of why would a mathematician be so great at Sam Houston? That's just because it's a collegiate council that made it to Sam Houston. Not just because it was a Baptist, or just because it was born that way. No, it had to work hard and work diligent all his life. And everything that made a major point. Just like if it was a major city, you had to work hard. Just like off of Michael Jackson or Killer Calione or Cadillac Records. It's people out there. Everybody's out there. Somebody's got to find something to do perfectively, and that's basically where we're working on that way. But you got people looking for money the other way. You're looking for shortcuts and stuff like that. So you're going through Alabama, Mississippi, Atlanta, and that's just giving you the whole 8747 deal. So that's about 87,000. With the wrong detail, with the wrong imagination to find out whether it's Jim Crow or hearsay at the time. So you're just two ways going one way at the time. So that's a whole $87,778. Just imagine how much hearsay could be amplified right now with just having 87 different audio pipes booming and bamming through the network. And it's basically where you're working on economics of a sort. So it's basically where you're working on 247 dimes. That's basically where you're working on 247 dimes on Globalist. globalist networks, and that's basically where you're working on the stock chain of globalist networks, and that's where you get finding more of 87,746 federal government of 28,886 dimes and quarters. So it's basically where you're using the difference of both languages of $50, and understanding more of privilege right towards 520 and 320 and 323, and it's basically working with the profitable candidate, and it's basically where it's working with a more preferred method that makes it more authorized to make its clarified detections, which is more towards a property owner or a product owner, and it's basically where you're working to complete a better life for yourself, and it's basically where it's coming to the end of the day for the old time, and a newer day for the newer time, as though it was the Old Testament, now it's the New Testament. So that just comes from looking at Chronicles of Narnia. You looked at Chronicles of Narnia for 355 hours. Then you're going to look at Polar Express. You look at Polar Express, and you see Polar Express, and it's basically where you go into the new chapters of Polar Express, and getting that for 346 hours and understanding more of that. So that's just a look of process of elimination at the time. How much good is process of elimination having it for 3808 of 35,562? And, that's a good company right there, yellow, orange, and red. So you're looking at Spotify PMC at that hour. That's the type of detail that we look at, and be able to tell the difference between majorly, no matter how far the differences appeal each other. It's basically where you're looking at 87,000 plus at the time. So it multiplies every time you see a 384 dime, and it's already compound out on the Family Dollar and Sam's and more of Comcast Grid play options, because Jada Mills, she was probably about 894 dimes. She was probably about 894 dimes 9 times every minute. Being able to see her amosity and her intent and her content. You can see her intent and content and amosity. So you can see all that rummaging. As though you were at your event. You see her doing whatever she does. So that's about $38,876. And it's basically where you're working on more of your whole $315 at 3:15 a.m. in the morning, where you're working on 1928 to 2065. You're working on your little local state protection, and being able to be part of your public safety organization. And it's basically where you start your whole career as far as the SAMS organizations, and it's basically where you're starting more of that whole biography. And it's basically what you're doing as you get more complimentary from being an inventory specialist to being a district manager. And it's basically where that controls not the whole world, but not the whole country, but the whole state, actually. So that's basically where you're starting to get like 388 dimes, and you being able to control more of the local county, and being able to have more control of a sustained estimation as you would comprehend to other acknowledgments. You want the acknowledgments, you want the audience to acknowledge a certain amount of content. So you want them to get just the content perfectively, just in order to be sure about what iTunes and Spotify and Spotify, iTunes, Spotify, and Vivo will be talking about. So that's about another $38,000. So that's just the company filled on $380 for 348 hours, 12 to 24 to 28, 33 times. So, you know, you just got to work with dimension and distance and, you know, be able to add different concepts to it, and then add more bonus contents to it. And, you know, it's basically where you're using your whole product of inventory specialist as an hour. And, you know, it's basically where you're working with my part of the town, and, you know, it's part of where I start my globalist mission. And, you know, that's basically where Nationalist started, and, you know, where I started Nationalist, and now I go to Globalist 2 months later, and we learn Globalist 2 months later of 28, 85, 45, and, you know, being able to look at 1928 to 1984 under 74, 34 dimes. So, you know, that was just a clarified look of one drive of 37, 756 different drives. And, you know, it's basically where you're working on a whole 2 semesters worth of plays at the time. So that's about 374 positive plays going on 35, 53 plays at plays of plays just general plays, going up against 357 different general plays versus the self-made plays, the positive plays, you know, the bonus route or the bonus yards that was being produced. So, you know, that's best where you're using the yeah, so that's basically where you're using a deposition